I'm going to share with you one of the biggest mistakes, okay, maybe the biggest mistake that I made during my transition into retirement, in the hopes that you don't also make this mistake, or if you already have, that you have some ideas on how to fix it. So, whether you're thinking about retiring or planning for it, or maybe you already have retired, either way, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Chris. I retired at 52, which was about 5 years ago, and I'm sharing my life after work insights and stories here with you. Let's dive right in. When you're at the beginning of your retirement, the last thing you want to do is think long and hard about all the years that you worked. Maybe there's some reflection, and that's totally normal. But if you're like me, you wanted to think about anything but work. You just wanted to disengage and relax and move into this next phase of your life. When I first decided to pursue life after work, I thought about all the freedoms I was gaining. That's where I wanted to focus my time and energy. And I also couldn't help but think about some of the things that my life during work took from me. All the freedom, all the time, all the energy, all of that. I didn't really stop to consider all of the things that my career and my job gave to me. Now, I'm not talking about a paycheck or a purpose or benefits. Those were all very clear. I knew I was getting that from my job. Let me explain the things that I hadn't considered that my work gave to me. Not thinking about what my work gave to me was my biggest mistake. It caused what was likely the single biggest difficulty in my retirement transition, and it was totally avoidable. Now, here's how it manifested itself. Here's where the warning signs were. Keep in mind, my profession was the head of HR. It just helps with some context. I began to notice that I got really sensitive and got my feelings hurt when people didn't ask me for help. And not just any help, but especially for help with things that I was really good at. I couldn't understand why people weren't seeking my counsel, why people weren't coming to me for advice or just to bend an ear. As the head of HR, I got a lot of that during my workday. In my life after work phase, not so much. I also felt a sense of, um, lack of value in that I wasn't doing things on a regular basis that were helping people. I wasn't solving problems. I wasn't figuring things out. I certainly wasn't getting the mental, intellectual stimulation that I had gotten every day at work. And all of those things added up to just me feeling really kind of crappy about myself. My self-esteem was starting to plummet, really, and this is where I became sensitive, right? I started getting kinda defensive about things, and I got edgy when somebody had a problem that they were struggling with, and they went somewhere else for answers and didn't come to me. Now, this sounds very selfish or self-centered as I'm telling you this, but this was really how I was feeling. I couldn't figure out why. Like, why am I all of a sudden so irrelevant? Why am I not the person people go to solve problems? I began to doubt my value and my worth and my capabilities. Now, the good news is that I had a journaling practice already in place, and I started writing about these feelings a lot. I started trying to figure out, where is this coming from? Why is everybody doing this? And I was looking externally. Why are these things happening to me or not happening to me? And when I finally turned the mirror around and realized that what I was feeling was me and my reaction to people or situations in my life, that's when the real aha moment came. I realized that when I was working, I had daily built in opportunities to be valuable, to show my capabilities, to be relevant, to be needed. That was a big one, to be needed. And I also had built in opportunities to constantly learn new things, new technology, new processes, new information that was going to change how I did things and how I helped other people do things. There was a lot that became clear that I wasn't getting every day. And when I started to open up about this with my husband, he reminded me of when his father retired, and he went through a very similar thing that we had all been very aware of. His issues were a little bit different than mine in that he was a very high up leader at NASA, at Moffett Field in the Bay Area. And he was incredibly successful. He had a lot of power, and his issues were more around control and giving direction and being the decider, being the one who decided how things should be and telling everybody else how that should play out. And the story that highlights this for me the most was it was about a year or two after he retired, and we were doing a big family barbecue for the 4th of July, and everybody was responsible for a piece of it. I had volunteered to do a tossed salad. Super easy, right? Not rocket science. But when we went into the grocery store together, he stopped and said, "Okay, now go get this kind of lettuce because that's the lettuce that people like the most. And don't forget to get this, 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 and this. And then you might want to think about this. And this is the on and on." And I let him go on with his directions. And when he was done, I said to him, he was he was such a good sport. I said to him, "Ralph, would you like to make this salad or do you want me to make the salad?" And he stopped and thought about it for a second and he said, "Oh, right. You can do this. You've got it. You don't need my instructions." And he took off to go get his ingredients for what he was doing. And we use that as an example of how that shows up just in very small ways in your daily life. Anyway, so my husband reminded me of that. And so I started to think about, he's a really smart guy, by the way. I started to think about all of the different times when I was starting to feel irrelevant or incapable or not valued or whatever it was, and kind of started to list all the examples and started piecing things together and realized, yeah, that's what it was. Man, I was getting every day constant feedback and accomplishments of things that I could do, and I got, my self-esteem was boosted every single day, and I was completely lacking that now that I was retired. So I then set out to think about how I could get those things back in my life, how I could what could I do that would give me the opportunity to feel those things again. The easiest answer was to start doing some consulting work, and which was basically doing a little bit of what I was doing before, on a different scale. And that was kind of a no-brainer. So I did that for a while. I also found some volunteer opportunities where I could use all of the things that I had learned in my career to help other people, things to do that just made me feel like instant gratification, like, "Oh, okay, I'm still valuable. I'm still capable, I'm still needed, I'm still relevant." So I busied myself with all of those kinds of things. And as time went on, I started needing those things less and less. And so I started then really focusing on activities that I wanted to do, not just because it gave me all of those feelings, but because it was fun to do. Because I wasn't having fun consulting. I wasn't having fun I took on one big nonprofit role, um, pro bono, and it was cool work sometimes, but it was hard. So I decided to forget about those things, put them aside. They served a purpose, and now I could move on. And honestly, the thing that I do the most now that helps contribute to me getting to feel all of the things that I want to feel is this YouTube channel. It's a perfect example. I was able to learn new skills, had to learn new skills, still learning new skills, both technology wise and process wise, and being comfortable on camera, coming up with creative ideas, that sort of thing. All of that fed into starting a YouTube channel. And so I found the perfect solution for me to both get to do something that was fun and creative, but also that gave me those things that I was missing from my work years. And one of the biggest pieces of fulfillment that I got from my job in HR was being able to help people in a meaningful way. And that's actually something I get from YouTube here also. When I get comments that thank me for the information that I've given or for the insight that I've provided based on my experience with people who are struggling through similar things or whatever it is. When I hear people say, "Wow, that was so helpful. Thank you very much," or people share their experiences with me in a way that shows that that they've really, been engaged and are just finding some similarities in our experiences. That's just so fulfilling. So I am incredibly grateful for this YouTube opportunity to help me through this. Now, you don't have to start a YouTube channel to solve that problem. That's not what I'm saying. Although it's not a bad idea, that's not the point. The point is to allow yourself some time to understand what it was you were getting from your job, from your career. Not just the money, not just the benefits, not just the purpose, but how your job you feel. Understanding that you can't just turn that switch off. You still have the needs to feel that way. And then how can you go about pursuing other activities that replace those feelings, that help you regenerate those feelings? Because I'll tell you what, feeling incapable, feeling not valued, feeling not relevant is really crappy. And your self esteem can really take a hit if you're not getting those kinds of things. And what you need can be very different from what I needed. Maybe what you got out of your job that made you feel really good were the daily interactions with people that you knew and that you enjoyed working with, or maybe it was interfacing with the public and getting to talk to all different kinds of people. Maybe what you really appreciated was a reason to get up in the morning, something to get you out of bed and get you going, a place to be, things to do, just having that piece of it. Or maybe it's that you need to feel challenged intellectually and you need something in your life that's going to provide that for you that you used to get on the job. And once you've identified what your needs are, think about interesting ways to get those things back into your life. Maybe you do want to go volunteer somewhere and that will fulfill you being able to help people. It will help you interact with people on a regular basis. Maybe it's getting a part-time job to feel like, you're contributing to the household income still, or that you're helping solve problems, or that you're just busy and that's what you really want to do is just to keep yourself a little bit busy. Whatever those things are, find different ways to bring those back into your life. It could be joining clubs, it could be I don't know. The sky's the limit. And then once you've started these new activities, monitor yourself. Don't just assume that it's going to be, that's okay, this is the fix, I'm done. Keep tabs on yourself because you might be solving the problem one way, but as time goes on and you change and learn and grow and settle into retirement, your needs could change. And for me, what happened was I stopped needing the external validation of all the things I was missing as much because I was getting it internally, because I was aware that this was an issue for me. And so I did a lot of good self-talk and explained to myself that I don't need a job or somebody else telling me, "Oh, thank you," all the time. I don't need any of that. I can see it in what I do. And of course, your needs change over time. Maybe you don't need those things as much as you used to. So keep monitoring yourself. Keep being aware of yourself. There's nothing wrong. In fact, there's a lot of good things about self-awareness and seeing how you're changing and growing. So that was my big transition into retirement mistake. If you found this helpful at all, please give me a thumbs up on this video. Maybe consider subscribing, watching other videos like this one here. And I really hope that you can avoid the turmoil that I experienced by not being as aware of what my needs were. And if you want to know what the best part about retirement is for me, check out this next video.